amazing introduction person you are. I feel a bit like Prince Charles. Did you see the news, you know, with Trump? And there's Charles behind him looking, no, really. Did you see? Anyway, so being bold, I was taking notes over the most amazing effing speakers. I mean, honestly, I had no idea. I mean, that sounds rather theatrical. Darling, I had no idea. But I had no idea. And I'm just going to just say, our first speaker, Dr. Afua, gender gap whisperer, I would say, absolute inspirational person, global health and money person. Marie, risk taker for good health for new mothers meeting a real need that no one else had ever done. Bella and Priyanka, I've said that wrong because I'm slightly dyslexic, but then let's join the gang. We're all like that. Girls on Track, car dominatrix. Bloody hell, fantastic. Nicole Blythe, tech superstar, champion of education change, making being different a good thing. My God, that was resonant with me. Natalie Collins, game changer in education of abuse victims. Saw her on television, she's amazing. Amber and Hazel, changing bottom taboos. My God, we needed that. Entrepreneurs, campaigners and networkers taking over the bloody world. Not that I'm jealous, we'll talk about that later. Chloe Davis, stunning campaigner who was silenced and led the conversation brilliantly and uniquely. So I haven't left anyone out apart from the bosses, have I? Can we just clap? You're not the only person who gets people clapping, but you did it really well. So, yeah, so I'm going to be really bold because I didn't really get what the whole thing was. And it isn't, to be honest. And it wasn't like a gig. I thought it might be a gig. You know when you said I should ask for what I want, could I have £2,000, please? Because I'm a bit strapped. And it's not like one of those gigs where you have to, you know, like a thing where you give awards for people and then you have to sort of put people there and you put people there, you know, for car parks and stuff like that, which I have done, nothing wrong with that. This is about sort of exposing yourself for no gain, except no gain is gain. They're nodding, the philosophers there. So it's not what I do, actually, ever. So I'm a bit out of my comfort zone, and I came in quite a bad mood. I was a little bit iffy to a few people. I said, well, this is very corporate, to Joanna. And after I'd insulted a few people, I calmed down, I settled down, and I sort of shut the up, and I've got 3 wines on the go. I met lots of lovely people on the way in, and so my bold gesture back to your boldness is actually to be completely unprepared. Yeah, slightly, not so funny now. But I'm not prepared. I'm just not. Because you haven't got autocue, not complaining, but without autocue and without, I'm not doing a tour at the moment. I was in the West End just showing off slightly because I can. Did you see Fawlty Towers? Anyone saw? Yeah. Right. So you know, I do know about learning lines and not bumping into the furniture. Trying not to, but I just thought no. Okay, fine. So mustn't swear. They'll edit that out. So I followed your wonderful speaker last year, Dawn Porter. Stop. Dawn Porter. And when I said Dawn Porter, obviously I meant Gail. And that's what this is about. It's about cooperation, lifting each other up when we up. Anyway, her opening remark, was, I had 3 wines, free. She said, hands up who's been sectioned. That was her first opening line. I don't know if anyone did raise it, so I can't compete. That's another subject that we have to bury or embrace, women in competition. Anyway, so with touring my book, and thank you, some of you, it's called Not That I'm Bitter. Obviously I am, there's some irony in the title, but I am very bitter. Been doing this for 40 years now. Not this is the first, clearly. So you go and you do these tours and people say, so were you always funny? In a slightly accusatory way. It's not very comfortable to have a woman who is announced as a comedian. And I mean, it wasn't my title because it involves, somebody else said the word audacity. It doesn't sit. It doesn't really sit that well. And it certainly didn't sit that well when I started. But people say, you know, I did this interview with somebody from The Guardian for the book, and I got very excited. I got somebody from The Guardian in my house, and kind of showed off a bit, and then I thought, well, she's going to be writing like Helen walked to the kettle in an ironic manner, you know, just like everything was like... And she said, she'd read the book, which I thought was nice, and then she said, but aren't you angry? And I thought, well, I am now. Should I? When I wrote the book, I don't think I was angry. And that's why expressing yourself, as we've done, and actually from the heart, you learn so much. I wasn't angry at the time, because you get born into the time you're in and the family you're in. You've got no control over that. But I was funny. I mean, I just was funny. Maybe that's being different. I had asthma, that was the thing. And when you get asthma, and then the doctor had said to my mother, for God's sake, she mustn't get overexcited or she'll die. So, so my mother called overexcited showing off. And so all these resonant, all these channels of all of the, you know, we're all here with all these differentnesses, but in common. So, if somebody says you must not laugh or you will die, obviously what do I want to do? I want to laugh all the time. I want to get hysterical. I want to get into this kind of nirvana of hysteria, like, you know, like those people in Fez, they just get into a state of, like, I just wanted to laugh all the time and make everyone else laugh. It was a kind of disease. And it does, because I had to miss a lot of school because of the asthma, I had a lot of time to come up with some really good games. And I had a really good sanitary towel game. But anyway, you need to read about it. No, that's awkward. But nothing happened. We just all called ourselves Dr. White, Dr. Green, Dr. Brown. It's not that funny. Quite sad. Anyway, and so the thing is, I got into trouble at school. And then I did manage a stink bomb campaign, which I felt was giving pleasure to other people. It was a beautiful thing just to see people walking into assembly and then nobody knew. You know that thing about humour when nobody knows but you know what's going on, but they don't know you know? I mean, that is the beauty of humour. And then the teachers would have to pretend they hadn't this amazing smell. And anyway, somebody snitched on me, so we all got detention. And then somebody said I should own up. I thought, why own up? So, I mean, we had detention. So I lack moral fibre as well. So I'm just saying it's important to embrace these things in yourself. So comedy. So I got into the comedy. No, and then because I was a people pleaser, there's another thing that some of us have. Because my father didn't come from England. So to be English, he said, you know, when a boy asks you to dance, you should say yes because it's rude to say no. So obviously I said yes. When I meant yes, and yes when I didn't, because it was a lot quicker. Anyway, that's a pre-Me Too joke, which maybe didn't land, which we have to get advice on. But but language evolves, and I'm probably the oldest person in the room, and I embrace the evolution of language, particularly in humour, but also the right to be who you are and to talk about your own life and your own experiences, because that is what, you know, defines who we are. Anyway, so what happened? Asthma, I've done asthma, stink bombs, covered that, quite deep this. Oh my God, no! I was going to ask you, okay, comedy women, I've got like, they've lied, you did that on purpose. Okay, I can't believe I've done this. Comedy women in print, there is no prize for witty women authors. I set this thing up, and we have, like you, changed some lives, created careers. The winner of the unpublished comedy novel becomes published, and then the witty women authors become celebrated. And we do an event like this, but not in such a big building. It's in the Groucho Club with a lot of alcohol all the time. Not that I'm complaining. But I do understand what it takes to put something on and get very overexcited and nervous and tense and probably, like me, say the wrong things. But if you would like to talk to me about comedy women in print, we're going again, and I think witty commentary gets you heard. If you did a maiden speech, not that any of us are MPs knowingly here, but you know, you get heard. If you are funny, if you are humble, but you're audacious and you're arrogant, and you're all these things that all of us are because of how we were made, humour is for the first time being used as a tool, I think, in society. And it's been overlooked because socially we're not, 7 seconds, we were never traditionally accepted as the leaders of storytelling. Anyway, that was just that, and done that, and I love you all, you're amazing, particularly the front row, but also the second, third, and fourth row. And where's the wine, and is there music, and what happens now? Will somebody else take me off and give me a large drink? I don't like, no. Cover me, come up, speak. Oh, I'm going to be there with my books. I'm going to be out there with my books.